And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate you guys joining me for the video today. In it, I wanted to look at some second-year wide receivers and try to figure out who is going to level up in 2022. I did do a similar video to this at the running back position. I thought it would be fun to also get the wide receivers involved. But before we get into all of that, if you guys are just joining the channel, thank you for spending some time with me. If you have not done it yet, for whatever reason, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. I cannot thank you guys enough for all of the support that I've gotten so far. We're over halfway there to our new goal of 500 subscribers. And if you want to help me out with that, click that button down below. With that done, let's get into this version of Hot Off the Press. We are going to kick this video off with one of my favorite players in all of the NFL, Cincinnati wide receiver Ja'Marr Chase. And after one of the best rookie campaigns in NFL history, taking a step back is kind of a lot to ask for the former star out of LSU. A sophomore slump almost seems inevitable, right? I would not bet on it. Chase has one of the best young quarterbacks in the league throwing in the rock, and their connection is already at an elite level. It is only going to get better with time. Ditto for Chase, who showcased his talents in all facets in 2021. He has elite speed both in the short game and in the deep passing game. His body control and ball skills are already among the league's best. Chase had 2 games where he surpassed 200 yards, and he scored in more than half of his games last season. Ja'Marr also has a bit of extra motivation, as his former teammate Justin Jefferson just set the NFL record for most receiving yards in the first 2 years of a career. You cannot tell me that Chase does not want to top that, whether he's going to admit it or not. With T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd supporting him, there are going to be games where defenses have to leave Chase single covered, and there are just way too many weapons in this offense. This gives Chase an advantage, and he is certain to capitalize on it. Chase may not get to 13 touchdowns again, but it is certainly not out of the question. And either way, the yardage is going to increase, and Chase levels up in 2022. We head to Philadelphia next with the kid out of Alabama in Devonta Smith. I was really impressed at how Smith persevered in 2021. He certainly did not always have the most accurate balls thrown his way, and he wasn't always targeted all that much, but that did not stop him from being efficient. Smith graded as one of the top 25 best wideouts in the NFL, according to PFF, and he was able to flirt with 1,000 yards because of it. I am a little bit concerned with the drop-off at the end of the year. However, in his final 8 games, Devonta Smith did not crack 80 yards one time. Now, part of that was the Eagles going to a more run-heavy approach. But as the alpha dog in the passing attack there, it is hard to give him a pass. The addition of A.J. Brown should do wonders for Smith. Now as the number 2 target, he's going to see better matchups, and I bet that he exploits them. If he can see a more stable number of targets week in and week out, I think that 1,000 yards is certain. However, I really am not sure that that is Philadelphia's game. And I do worry about Jaylen Hurts, who has yet to put it all together as a passer in the NFL. Much of what Smith does next season is going to come down to the development of Hurts and the system that the Eagles decide to run. Do they try to protect Hurts from making mistakes? Is Brown's target share too big for Smith to overcome? If it is the second half team that ran it more than almost anybody in the league, and or A.J. Brown's pie slice is significant, Smith is not going to hit his 2021 totals. That is what I am betting on. And I think that, despite the talent, Devonta takes a step back. The first of 2 New York rookies we are looking at is Elijah Moore, who started just 6 games last year and missed the final 5 of the regular season. Now, in that respect, He put together a solid campaign. He scored 5 times and surpassed 500 yards. He was able to catch fire late, scoring in 4 out of his final 5 games, and he flashed big time in Week 12 against Miami when he racked up 141 yards and a score. If he can carry that momentum into 2022, he could do some damage for New York. With rookie Garrett Wilson now in town, Moore is likely to play second fiddle. And unfortunately for him, the Jets don't exactly sling it around the field, so the opportunities for him may not rise all that much. I do, however, expect an improved offense, and Moore has already built some sort of connection with Zach Wilson, so it's not all doom and gloom. Really, it comes down to health for Moore. If he can stay on the field the entire year, he is certainly going to level up and push for 750 yards. He can score half a dozen times in this revamped Jets offense as well. It won't be a big leap, but steady improvement will do just fine for Gang Green. Same city, different team, and it's Kadarius Toney we are looking at next. 2021 was pretty brutal for Toney, and I mean really for the entire Giants wide receiver room. It seemed like a game of musical chairs as to who was going to be active from week to week. Battling injuries for much of the campaign, Toney played in just 10 games, and he missed 6 out of the last 7 for the Giants. It took away his rhythm, and he never really looked comfortable in his role. Toney clearly showed an ability to elevate the offense around him. It just wasn't often enough to make a season-long impact. Nearly half of his yardage on the season came in one 189-yard explosion against Dallas in Week 5. Now after that, however, he compiled a total of 134 yards the rest of the year. If the playmakers around him can stay healthy, and Toney can too, there is a chance that the Giants' offense makes strides. The issue is, Kenny Golladay is a walking IR report, and Saquon Barkley has missed 18 games over the last 2 seasons. History tends to repeat itself. With Daniel Jones still at the helm, I am not a fan of Big Blue. Jones has not proven to me that he's capable of consistent production, and that does not bode well for the offense that he is manning. Toney's surroundings do not really give him much of a chance at success, but if healthy, he has shown that talent to produce. You do not put up nearly 200 yards in a game without high-level ability. He could earn the number 1 wide receiver role for New York, and he will take a step forward despite his circumstances. To Detroit next, and it is Amon-Ra St. Brown, who not only has a really awesome name, but he was one of the biggest steals of the 2021 NFL Draft. He was drafted in the 4th round at 112th overall. Stuck in a nightmare that is also known as the Detroit Lions offense, he seemed destined for little production and opportunity. Then, in Week 12, the legend of Amon-Ra St. Brown began. With DeAndre Swift injured and the Lions desperate for playmakers, they turned to him. On the last play of regulation, he found space against Minnesota's secondary, which really isn't that hard to do, if we're being honest, and he scored that winning touchdown as time expired. His 10-catch, 86-yard effort was just the beginning, and he would never look back. Over the next 6 games of the year, St. Brown garnered 67 targets. He turned that into 51 catches for 560 yards. He scored in every game but one, and he even found success on the ground, carrying it 7 times for 61 yards. That stretch catapulted him to nearly 1,000 total yards on the year. St. Brown went from some dude with a crazy name to a weekly weapon to be utilized in multiple ways. The Lions found a gem they didn't know they had for 2/3 of the year. With Detroit's addition of Jameson Williams, drafted 12th overall, after trading up with my Vikings, there is a potential here for an awesome 1-2 punch. It is likely that the duo has to wait and see what their full potential is, as Williams is recovering from his injury, and in that time, I believe St. Brown continues to shine, even with Jared Goff behind center. With a full season being utilized, there is no doubt that he's going to break 1,000 yards, and it is not crazy to think that he could reach double-digit scores. To the desert, and it's Arizona's Rondale Moore up next. After putting up 182 yards and a score in his first 2 games, Rondale Moore basically faded off into obscurity. Even in a high-volume Arizona passing attack, there was not enough targets to go around. Moore saw over 5 targets just once after Week 5. That is going to change in 2022 with Christian Kirk in Jacksonville and DeAndre Hopkins suspended for the first 6 games of the season. Now, in that time, it's going to be up to Moore to carve out a bigger role for himself. With only Marquise Brown and AJ Green to demand receiver targets, he certainly should. Moore has great short area quickness and is a terror out in space. His hands are excellent as well as he caught over 84% of his targets. Having Kyler Murray as your signal caller certainly does not hurt either. Moore meshes really well with Murray's game, and I expect plenty of opportunities to come his way as Kyler tries to survive without Nuke. Someone has to step up early for Arizona, and I believe that Moore is a part of that. The rapport they develop early on should carry into the rest of the season and provide Moore with an opportunity to make a second-year leap. Moore could double his yardage total from 2021, and he will quadruple his touchdowns at least. Finally, something good to say about the Texans. We're looking at Nico Collins, a third-round pick out of Michigan, who was not expected to do much in his rookie year. He played in weeks 1 and 2, but recorded just 2 catches for 39 yards, and the thought process of that was pretty much locked in. After missing out on the next 3 games, Collins returned to put up 44 yards against Indianapolis, and while he never really fully broke out, he did have 67 yards or more in 2 out of his final 5 games. Considering his circumstances, he ended up being a decent contributor in one of the worst offenses in the NFL, so there is something to be said for that. Nico is going to be the number 2 once again behind Brandon Cooks, and this Houston offense has not really changed all that much. Davis Mills is set to start again, and there is hope that he can take a step forward in year 2 after showing some solid ability, at least for a third-round rookie who was thrown into the fire. Regardless, the Texans are not going to be lighting up any scoreboards. What is going for Nico is a solid target share and a team that is going to be behind and throwing a lot. With a full offseason under his belt and more time with Mills, there is going to be some improvements. Collins is not going to ball out here. I don't expect that, but he's going to take a step forward with greater opportunity and surpass 650 yards in 2022. He is going to add a couple scores to his career totals as well. To the frozen tundra in Green Bay, where we take a look at Amari Rodgers, who was so irrelevant as a wide receiver in 2021 that when I went to look at his stats, he came back as a punt and kick returner. He was certainly more busy in that regard. I really wouldn't even have included him in this list if not for the circumstances surrounding him. Rodgers caught all of 4 balls last season, and he totaled just 45 yards. It is extremely interesting and odd because the Packers actually traded up to draft Amari. Maybe the talent that the Packers saw just never materialized. Relegated to the returner role, it is unlikely that Amari Rodgers had much time to build rapport with the other Rodgers. That is going to have to change, as the wide receiver room in Green Bay has shifted dramatically. 2 out of their top 3 receivers from 2021 are gone, which brings plenty of opportunity. With rookie Christian Watson joining a veteran group of Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, and Allen Lazard, there is a decent shot that Amari cracks the rotation, and he certainly should. It is not going to take much for Amari Rodgers to level up in 2022, and the Packers will likely be happy with any production whatsoever after last season. Amari will top 300 yards and get at least 1 trip to pay dirt, but do not expect a breakout year in season 2. Next, to Miami, and it's Jaylen Waddle, who was asked to do a ton as a rookie. Behind an abysmal offensive line, with a back-and-forth quarterback situation, and 0 running game to help. He did not blink. Instead, Waddle set the NFL rookie record for receptions in a season, hauling in 104 passes. With injuries mounting around him, oftentimes there were few other options, both for his quarterback to throw to and for defenses to have to cover. It did not matter. Showcasing elite speed and quickness, Waddle was a nightmare to try and bring down. The connection that he has with Tua Tagovailoa started to blossom once he returned from injury as well. Waddle finished the year hot with Tua calling the shots, and he scored in 3 out of his final 5 games. He was one of the main reasons that the Dolphins nearly made the playoffs after starting 1-7. With the Tyreek Hill addition, Waddle is going to be free to dominate in better matchups. Hill is going to threaten over the top and force multiple defenders his way or pay the price. It is a speed demon version of pick your poison. There is no way that Waddle takes a step back next season. He will take advantage of better opportunities and situations and blow by his rookie numbers. The last player on my list in Baltimore is Rashod Bateman. After missing the first 5 weeks of the season rehabbing from an injury, Bateman recorded 80 yards in 2 out of his first 4 games. That hot start fizzled a little bit to end the year, but when the opportunities came, Rashod usually stepped up. The biggest thing going for Bateman is the lack of receiving threats in Baltimore's offense. With Hollywood Brown now out of town, he is the clear #1 receiver. He flashed those traits in limited time in year 1. I believe it was a show of confidence in his abilities for the Ravens to be willing to part with Brown. There is no way they would have pulled the trigger on the deal otherwise. Lamar Jackson's passing ability is steadily improving, and he creates the kind of off-script plays that generate big yardage and scores. Bateman is likely on the receiving end of those. Of course, there's Mark Andrews, and he is going to get his, but Bateman has the talent to have a monster breakout campaign. 1,000 yards is well within the range of outcomes, and he could score in half of his games if the Ravens go to the air enough. No one on this list has a better chance of leveling up in 2022 than Rashod Bateman. And with that, I will bid you farewell until we meet again. I really hope you guys enjoyed the content today. If there is any specific stories or content you're looking for, drop those down in the comments below. I do this for you guys, and I want to bring you content that is valuable to you. If you are new to the channel or you haven't got to it yet, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. The support that I get means the world to me, and it helps me out so very much. This is Relentless Press. I'm your host, Abraham Opatz, and we'll see you next time.